Hey guys, happy Monday. Hope everybody is doing well out there. Today I want to take a look at something that I've been wanting to take a look at actually for quite a while now, and that is setting up a dashboard to monitor your server. Now, I know that there are things like RPI monitor and glances, and those are either going to give you not enough information or way too much information. So what we're going to do today is actually take a look at installing some different, actually 3 different Docker instances that will all work together to generate some really cool looking dashboards. So let's actually jump over to my desktop here and take a look. I've actually had this one installed since yesterday, so it's been collecting data, over the last 12 or 15 hours or so, kind of somewhere in that range. And here we can see the data that it's collecting. Here's our server right here with our host name, its uptime, how much memory it's got, how many cores, the 5-minute load, and then all of this other information here. We've got overall load for the percentage of the CPU being used, total memory, overall disk usage, that sort of thing. Down here, again, we're getting some repeat information as far as uptime, cores, RAM, swap, that sort of thing. Here we've got some hard drive information here as far as which drive it is, which file system it's got, where it's mounted, the size of the drive, how much is available, and how much has been used. We've got some bandwidth usage here for each hour, it looks like. Below that, we've got some basic CPU usage, some basic memory usage. This network bandwidth usage per second. This one kind of intrigued me when I saw it this morning. I'm not sure what was going on about 10 to 11 o'clock last night, but that's definitely something that I'll want to keep an eye on to make sure that there's not something weird going on with my server. So this is just one example, and there are lots and lots of examples that we can install on our server, and I'll show how to do that here in just a moment. But what I want to say is that this will only actually take us about 5 steps to do. So we're going to do all of this pretty much through command line. I know that a lot of people don't like to do command line stuff, but I promise this one's super, super easy. So let's actually jump into the terminal now and take a look. Oh yeah, the other thing I forgot to mention, this will work on desktop or Raspberry Pi devices. The dashboard we were just looking at was my main home server, my big x86 AMD platform. The one we're going to do now is actually on a Raspberry Pi. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump in on this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to run everything as sudo. So we'll type in sudo su, like so. And then what we're going to do is actually install a Docker container called Node Exporter. So, and this is actually from Prometheus. We're going to install Prometheus here in just a moment, but we need Node Exporter first. So let's go ahead and just paste that in there. All of this will be available in the description down below. So we're just going to go ahead and run this Docker container detached. We're going to attach it to the host. Basic stuff here. So we're just going to go ahead and run that. So now we have Prometheus, or we have Node Exporter up and running. So let's actually take a quick look at that. Let's go to Hell. We'll get logged in here. Not a lot going on in here, but let's make sure. It looks like that is collecting some information there. So if memory serves, this is actually running on port 9100. All right, so that is where this is running. We're going to need to know that later, but I just wanted to make sure that it is running on port 9100. Right here, we've got some metrics. And if we open that up, we can see over here this very, very long list of information here is all of the data that it's currently scraping from your system based on your hardware, based on the sensors, based on all of the information that's available for Node Exporter, whatever it can find on your system. That's what this is. This is the metrics that we're going to use to actually fill in the data for our Prometheus or our Grafana dashboard using Prometheus. So just want to make sure that that is all working, and it looks like it is. So that's good to go. The next thing we want to do here is actually create a file called prometheus.yml. And so what we're going to do, I'm actually just going to clear this. Oops. Like so. And what I want to do is actually, I want to store this somewhere that makes sense to me. So what I'm going to do is navigate to cd/srv/dev disk by label files. And I'm just going to do an ls there. And then I'll go into config, I suppose. And then I'm going to make a directory called Prometheus. Now, look, you can store this file anywhere you'd like it to, or anywhere you'd like to, but just I'm a bit neurotic about organization when it comes to my Docker containers. So I want to just create this where I would have all my other configuration stuff. So I'm going to cd into Prometheus, and then I'm going to do a nano Prometheus.yml, like so. And then I'm going to paste in some information here. And this is generic information. This is what you're going to, what all of you are going to put in, at least to start with. Now, the only thing that you're going to have to change actually is going to be right here where it says targets, and then there's an IP address. Make sure that that IP address is your server's IP address. So again, I'm using this on a Raspberry Pi. This is HAL. So this is HAL's IP address. You can leave the ports, the 9090 and the 9100. Leave those as they are. We're going to need those where they are here in a little bit. But all you got to do, like I said, is change those IP addresses. Then click O, enter, Control O, enter, and Control X. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is actually install the Prometheus container here. So again, this will be available in the description down below. Again, we're going to run this as detached. Name is Prometheus, running on port 9090. And we're going to mount this volume, SRV dev disk by label files, config Prometheus, prometheus.yml. And we're just going to go ahead and run that. It's going to go ahead and download all of this information relatively quickly. If you keep in mind that this is on a Raspberry Pi, that it's going through this download and extract process, going pretty quickly here. So go ahead and give this just a second there. All right, so it looks like that is running. So let's go ahead, jump back over to our containers here, and let's make sure that we can go ahead and see what's going on here. Okay, great. We've got both of our service directories. Those are the things that were in that YML file. Both of these are working. Otherwise, it would say 0 of 1. So that's good. We're glad to see. Yep. So they're both up and running. That's good. That means we're on the right track. So the next thing we want to do here is scroll down just a little bit in my notes. We're going to run one more Docker container, and this is actually going to be Grafana. So Grafana is also super easy to install. Again, we're just going to paste that in there. Docker run detached name Grafana port. This was originally on 3000. I changed it because I think I've got something on 3000. So I just changed it to 3456. And we're just going to go ahead and run that like so. All right, so now it looks like that is up and running. So let's refresh. Grafana is running, so that's good. Now what we want to do here is go ahead and get logged in. The default username and password is admin and admin. Now it wants us to create a new password. You can make this whatever you want. So we're going to go ahead and log in. Now the first thing we need to do once we're in here is actually add a data source. It's this middle button or panel right there. We're going to select Prometheus. And what we're going to do is type in the URL to get to our Prometheus. So I'm just going to grab this because I'm lazy. Like so. HAL.local, port 9090, access server, this is all fine. Don't need to do anything other than that. We'll come down here, click save and test. Oops. Oh, I guess we can't use, let's try HTTP 192.168.68.127 port 9090. Let's try that. There we go. Now the data source is working. So apparently you have to use the IP address, not the host name. So that's good. Well, that's not good. But it's good that we got that figured out. And now we can move on to our last step here, or one of our last steps. What we want to do is actually come over here and Google Node Exporter Grafana Dashboards. And so what we'll do is we're just going to find one that we like the look of. And actually, this is the one that I installed on my server last night or yesterday. So what you can do, though, is there are a lot of different dashboards available here. And you can just come in and look and find one that you like the look of. I already know which one I'm going to install, so I'm leaving it open, but you can kind of get an idea. That one doesn't have any information. I don't like that. But you can come in here and find a dashboard that you like the look of. And once you find the dashboard that you like the look of, you're just going to go over here to where it says get this dashboard. And you're just going to copy that. You'll come back over, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to go to the plus sign, hover over, go down to import. We're just going to paste in that ID right there, like it says, grafana.com dashboard URL or ID. So I'm just going to paste in that. I'm going to click load. My Victoria metrics, we don't need to change any of this other stuff. You can change the name if you want to. What we need to do is select our Victoria metrics as Prometheus, click import, and there we go. Now we have this really cool looking dashboard running on our Raspberry Pi. Now, right now it says there's no data for some of these, and that's just because it just launched. It's going to take some time to collect and scrape data in order to go through and actually start posting data points. But there are some some stuff in here that we can look at. In fact, let me shrink this down a little bit. Here we can see the IP address, our host name, our uptime. It's been almost a week. 8 gigs of memory, 4 cores, all of our information there. Here we can see we've got all of our same information over here really. We've got our disk usage and that sort of thing where everything is mounted. So just some really good information in here. And you can see that really didn't take us that long to get this up and running. So really it was like 5 or 6 steps from start to finish to get this really cool looking dashboard up and running. Now, the other thing I want to point out just real quick is don't feel like you're tied to this one dashboard that we just installed. If you decide, hey, I want to take a look at another one, we can save this cool dashboard. Oops, and we'll click save. So I want to go ahead and do this and click load, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to select Prometheus for my data point. I'll click import. And right there, we've got another dashboard just that quick, up and running with all kinds of great information in here. Here you can see this one's already got data collected. The other one we hadn't refreshed yet, but now we're already getting data points in here. We can take a look at all kinds of really cool information. And then if we want to, we can come over, go to dashboard home. Oops. Another cool dashboard. I'm real bad at naming things. What we can do then is come over here to manage, and right here we've got both of our dashboards. I don't know why I didn't give them the names that I said to give them, but then you can just kind of toggle back and forth. You can have multiple dashboards up and running and just pick the one you like at the moment. So again, all you've got to do is just Google Node Exporter Grafana dashboards, and then go find a dashboard that you like, put in the ID, and that's basically it. It'll start pulling data. So, like I said, hopefully you found this video helpful. Not quite as intimidating as I originally thought it was going to be. Now, don't get me wrong. These are pre-built. Somebody took a lot of time to or a lot of people probably took a fair amount of time to build these dashboards for us. But you can, maybe based on this information, kind of go in and start tinkering, changing panels, editing panels, building your own panels, that kind of thing, based on the exporter metrics that we saw with that really long list of all of the details that were being pulled from your servers. So I thought this would be a good foundation to do as far as dashboards were concerned. And if we decide to later on, we can go in and start looking at how to create our own little panels and that sort of thing. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, do me a favor, give the video a thumbs up. Really would help me out a lot. I want to give a big shout out to my patrons and my channel members. Thank you guys for your support. I really do appreciate that. If you want to become a patron, there's a link for that in the description. If you want to become a channel member, there's a button right below this video. I want to give a big shout out to my hardware partners, CanaKit for the Raspberry Pi 8, Argon 40 for the Argon 40 M.2 case, Sabrent for the M.2 drive, the NVMe 2 terabyte drive, as well as the enclosure for it. Thank you guys for all of that. We'll have links to all of that hardware in the description down below as well. But I think with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. As always, thanks for your time. I always appreciate your support, and I'll talk to you in the next video.